A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us for the Thursday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Let me give you a quick rundown of what to expect on the show tonight. Tonight, we will focus on the Basketball Africa League. We'll talk about what's been going on with Nigeria's Rivers Hoopers. We'll be talking about them on the show tonight. Hopefully, we'll get someone who's in Kigali to talk to us on what transpired today after the team lost their second game. Okay, we'll also continue our countdown to the biggest sporting event on the planet. That's talking about the Olympics, 2020 Olympics, to be held in Tokyo later this year. We will also look at what's happening in table tennis and, of course, spare some time to talk about football on the domestic scene. When we're done with that, we'll go to England to look at what happened today, Football Writers Award. Of course, there's been a recipient. We'll also talk about that. So you can join us on the show, talk to us about all of these things that I've mentioned. And if you feel there's something else that needs to get some talk time, let us know about all of those things. This is how you can be a part of the show, just in case you join us for the first time and you're wondering what I'm talking about. This is what you need to do. You can send us a mail, you can get across to us on Facebook, and of course, you can also get across to us on Twitter. sportsonlinechannelstv.com, that's how you can send your mail. You can drop your comments, Channels of Sports. Then on Twitter, that verified handle that we talk about, @channels_sports. Let's know how you feel. Talk to us on the show tonight. All right, so let's move on as we begin to talk about what is going on in Kigali. But first, let me introduce my partner in the Lagos studio. Of course, I'll be joined by some other people. But of course, this man's going to be with me from start to finish. Kingsley Odofia joins me this lovely Thursday evening. Kingsley, thanks for making our time to be here.
It's good to be here again, Yemi.
All right, so let's start off with the results of what happened today in the Basketball Africa League. Second successive loss for Nigeria's representative. Not what we expected. But of course, a lot of people, myself included, believe there are a lot of positives. US Monastir is the team that defeated Rivers Hoopers 90 points to 77. And that's the breakdown of the quarter-by-quarter results, as you can see on your screen. The Nigerian guys made a fight. Wasn't enough. First quarter was 24 points to 12. Second quarter, 25 points to 10. They won the third quarter by 4 points, and narrowly, by 6 points lost. The fourth quarter. And when you total it, when you sum it all up, that's what you have on your screen. A second loss, 99 points to 70. Of course, there's still a game left in the group. 8 teams will make the quarterfinal, and two teams that place third, 2 of them out of the 3 are going to qualify. So it's not all doom and gloom, but we must say it's a second loss. And on the table, it's just 2 points, even though it's 2 losses. Kingsley, I know you've been following this. I want to get your thoughts on all of this. A lot of people have said a lot of good things about Basketball Africa, and I'm very happy that our boys get the opportunity to mix with the best on the continent.
I'm not particularly happy considering the fact that they've lost 2 games. But however, like you mentioned, there have been a few positives to take out of it. We could see Chris Daniels, stepping up to this reputation, so to say. But however, I must say, it goes to show that a divided house can never stand. I mean, it's high time we begin to put our axes together, when it comes to administering sport in this country. The Basketball Federation has neither been here or there. You hear about factions arguing. Today, this one will say he's in charge. Tomorrow, this one comes out to say he's in charge, and all of that. But however, for River Hoopers, I think it's been a good one that they've been able to go out there, despite all of the challenges that they've been confronted with on the home front. But they still went out there, to show what they can do.
All right, and just to add, but I'm not saying that because of this, but I think all basketball followers do agree that we need to focus more on the game here.
Yeah, sure.
We don't have problems with our national teams. Most of them are based abroad and they get their training, whatever. They get it from
of course.
overseas. But we need to do something
do
about
something on the home front,
league,
the league
here.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that because of this, but that's something that we should always say when we talk about basketball. You talked about top performance. Let's just quickly look at that. Some of our guys who cover themselves in glory, in spite of the fact that Rivers Hoopers lost their game. And let's look at this one, Ben Uzo. I mean, you wouldn't expect anything less from a player of his caliber. And he came in with 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. Outstanding performance from Ben.
Yeah, outstanding performance from him. I must say, he has been one of the top performers going into the basketball league, despite the fact that no one really gave him a chance, like I pointed out before, considering the challenges they've been facing on the home front. But he has gone out there, he has proven his mental, he has shown the continent what he can do, and probably to the world at large to some extent. And also, not forgetting Chris Daniels too. He too also came in with 25 points and 13 rebounds, like we're seeing there right now. So I think for these two guys, they were able to distinguish themselves out. Play just exhibit your talent, which is what they've gone out there to do. The same cannot be said about the team in its entirety, but however, it's a good thing that we're able to get these two guys, stand out.
All right, so those two guys stood up, but of course, one of the guys on the winning side, the guy who plays for US Monastir, you have, his name is Radhin Silmani, and of course, he did well. 23 points, 3 assists for the guys who eventually won the game. And so a very interesting one. Of course, the next game for Rivers Hoopers will be the game against the club based in the Malagasy Basketball Club that they're going to come up against GNBC. So a lot is riding on that game for Rivers Hoopers. So we'll see how far they can go in that one. A lot of people believe there are positives to take from this game, and we'll get other views, other perspectives to this, because it's easy to just look and say, okay, they've lost their second game, but you have to consider all other factors and put it into your analysis of what has happened. All right. I think we can bring in Damiloju Saliu now, and he joins us as we take a look at all the things happening in basketball and elsewhere. Let me see if we can have that conversation. Greetings to you, Damiloju. Thanks for taking our time to be with us on the show tonight.
Yeah, good evening, Yemi. It's good to be back, and it's amazing, even though it wasn't really a great one for Rivers Hoopers.
All right. I want to get your thoughts. You've already said it wasn't a great game, but I've read a lot of comments online, especially on Twitter. A lot of people still felt they were positive. So, in your own opinion, looking at it from your angle, what are the positives in spite of the fact that it's a second loss?
I think the first thing for me, the most disappointing thing from the first game was we led in the first quarter, and we seemed to allow that lead blow away, and then eventually we lost by 23 points. In this particular one, yes, the loss was a lot worse, 29 points, 99 to 70, but it felt like the damage was done in the first half. Unfortunately, we couldn't recover from a poor first half, but the second one, that's the third quarter in particular, it seemed like Rivers Hoopers stepped it up and were able to get a lead in that third quarter, even though that was not enough. The only other positive for me is the fact that they can still qualify for the next stage of the competition if they are one of the two best third-place teams. So that final game is the most important. We've lost the two; those two are behind us, but we must make sure that we do something amazing in the final game.
All right. So let me keep you on, but I want to quickly go to Kigali and hear the thoughts of Rotimi Akindele. He joins us now. He's going to be our eyes and our ears in Kigali. Greetings to you, Rotimi. Thanks for taking our time to be with us tonight. I want to quickly get your thoughts on the game. You had a vantage point. You saw the game. Your thoughts?
Good evening, Yemi. Of course, it was that sort of game that you probably, would have felt that Rivers had no chance going into it because of the story around the Tunisian side about how their chemistry has been for years. I mean, they've been together for what? maybe like 10 years. Most of the players, you got about 7 of them still with the national team. They got about 5, 6 veterans as well. So they've got all that going for them. And Rivers, I mean, we all knew that, we all know the story at home. No basketball, in about 2, 3 years. Looks like our administrators are not bothered. And then we've just seen the result from maybe lack of inactivity, or that inactivity we've seen in basketball, being displayed in what Rivers Supers have been able to put out, especially in the last 2 games. So it's been, it was a good game. It was a better performance than what they had, than what they put up against the Patriots on Sunday. And then I think we can take up some positive, like Damiloju said. We can actually take some positives from this. But even on paper, going into the final game, it's still pretty tough because both teams now know that a good win, and not just winning by 10 points or 2 points. You need an emphatic win for you to stand a chance of even, picking one of the best loser spots, to get into the quarterfinals. So it's pretty difficult. But just like the coach said afterwards, I was at the press conference. Just like he said, we're looking forward to winning that last game. Emphatically is the word. But then again, let's see if they can be emphatic with the win. But the GMBC side are also no pushover. So it's going to be a tough one come Sunday.
All right, Rotimi, I'm going to keep you on, but I want to quickly get Kingsley into the conversation. You've listened to 2 other guys who seem to agree with you with some of the things that you have said. But picking one of the 2 available slots for the best loser means that you have to be better than the 2 other guys who would likely finish in the 3rd position. Do you think Rivers Hoopers are capable of doing that?
It's a tough one now, but like Rotimi said, it was an improved performance, compared to the first game. But let's just hope that come the 3rd game, they're even going to better what they did in the last game. If they do step up their game, if the key players come to the fold, come to the party on the day, I want to believe they might just end up getting one of the, the best loser slot that is left.
Okay, let me see if Damiloju is that optimistic. Let me quickly go to Damiloju and get his thoughts as well. I mean, you have to factor in the performance of the teams in the other group, and you have to better that to get into the playoffs. So, for you, do you think Rivers Hoopers have it in them to get the job done?
Well, it's a very tough one. It's a very tough one. You spoke about how they have to better at least one of the teams, and that's the most important thing. They have a negative 52 from the 2 matches. The fact that they were minus 23 in the first game and minus 29, and with some of the other teams who have about minus 3, some are even in the plus zone. Zamalek in their group are yet to play their 2nd game, so it's going to be very tough for Rivers Hoopers. The only good news is the opponents that they are facing also have a negative. Theirs is negative 53. So if we can get maybe a 25 or 40, 30, 25 to 30 point advantage, then maybe, just maybe, we might see a favor from the others and we might be one of the top 2 teams.
Okay, Rotimi is the next person I want to quickly go to. Rotimi has had the opportunity to see some of the things we're not able to see. So he's in a very good position to answer this question. And you've already given us a hint. You told us it's likely going to be very, very difficult to get the job done. So same question. Do you think that these guys can get the job done, can get maybe a 20, 25 point margin win? And, just sit back and look at the others and see if they will be able to make it to the playoffs.
Okay, so except the GMBC side, probably maybe miss out on key players, or they just want to go to bed. I don't think we're going to get like 25, 20 points a win come Sunday. The truth is they are very mobile. Yes, they don't have loads of tall guys in their team. They're very athletic. They can be very fast as well. We saw what they did with the Patriots. Patriots had to dig deep, bouncing back yesterday, before they went on to win that particular game. So it's going to be a bit difficult for Rivers Hoopers. They've not been convincing. That's talking about the Hoopers themselves. If they were a bit more comported today, or more composed now, you probably have maybe seen a closer margin of what they put out against the Tunisians. So it's going to be pretty difficult against GMBC. Come Sunday.
Okay, so that's what everybody's saying. It's going to be difficult. But let's think, before we wrap up this discussion about basketball, win or lose, whether they get to the playoffs or not, what are the things that, as a nation, and River Supers as a team, what are the things do you think will be the benefits of going to Kigali and being part of the Basketball Africa League?
Do we really benefit anything from going to tournaments, whether we win or lose? But however, I think the eye-opener for me should be the fact that River Supers were able to go out there, to compete with their, with another team from outside of the continent. That for me is an experience, that will never leave them. And of course, can they build on that? That's a question that remains to be answered. But as a nation, I think we've been able to get our team into the continent. It's now left for us to build on it. Let the different faction, whether Musa Keda or whatever,
sheet their swords,
just forget about
together, develop
it should be national interest first. The national interest should come first before any other interest. So I think these two people should put their differences aside, for the interest and for the benefits of the game here in Nigeria. Like I pointed out earlier on, we've had so much trouble on the home front, not being able to build a formidable league, not being able to build a league, that is exciting, that we want to attract people, and of course want to attract sponsors into it as well. So I think going forward, we should be able to work on it on the home front and then see how it goes from there on.
All right. It's also very important to note that if we grow our game here, it's going to be a win-win situation for everybody. And sometimes you go into these tournaments, you're already having a problem at home even before you go. And
there,
you think if we sort ourselves out, taking out the part of us causing the problems for ourselves, if we do that, do you think, I'm talking of club, not national team, we are doing well with national team, but do you think when it comes to professional basketball, maybe inter-club competitions on the continent, if we sort out these administrative issues, do you think we can go shoulder to shoulder, head to head with the big sporting clubs in basketball on the continent?
Most definitely, because if you look at the talent pool, in Nigeria and in Africa at large.
No, that's where I'm going exactly. If you remove the talent pool, what about the structure? Because the talent has never been the problem. What about the structure, where they play, because that's not part of... That's a little different from the administrators now, because the owners of the club, where they play, where they train, their welfare, and all of those issues.
I think it's a systemic thing. We have to fix the system first before every other thing will fall into play. If the system is not fixed, we'll keep going around in circles. We'll still be confronted with the same problem over and over and over again for years to come. So I think we need to get the system right. Get on the book and all of the rules that applies. Should come into fold. And once that is done, I want to believe we can go places. Like you pointed out, talent has never been the issue. It has never been a problem. But our major problem has always been interest, personal interest, ahead of national interest, and of course the system is so flawed that nothing seems to be striving with a system like this.
And quickly, before we go on break, do you see any sort of apathy developing? Because even in what you have said, you talk about the past 2-3 years of all the things going on, the shenanigans. Do you see a loss of interest, apathy for basketball, of would-be basketball players? Do you see that catching up and people just, no, I don't want to play basketball, there's too much, that's on the domestic. Do you see that having a negative effect?
It should have a negative effect, but however, if you go into the streets of Lagos National Stadium, for instance, you still see people that are desirous to play the game. Despite what is happening on the home front, they are not deterred away from it. They still want to go out there to exhibit their talent because they believe that one day, someday, maybe the system could be fixed right, we could get it right administratively, and then, the game could just go the way that they expect it to go. But when it comes to losing interest, they have never lost interest for once. And I just wish those administering this game will see that, okay, despite what is going on, we still have the players that are still interested in wanting to play this game. So we should just give them the enabling environment and the platform for them to strive.
All right, all right. That's a good place to let it land. Hopefully, the administrators are listening and they will do the right. We need to go on a break right about now. When we return from the break, we'll continue with our countdown to the Tokyo Olympics. We'll talk about things happening on the domestic scene, and of course, we'll go to Europe to talk about the Euros and give you a slice of tennis if time permits. All right, welcome back. Still have Damile Jusaliu and Rotimi Akindele with me. Of course, Kisley Udofia still with me in the studio. All right, let's go to Rotimi. He's a busy man, and we need to allow him go and rest. But before we let you go, Rotimi, let me just ask you this question. Came to my mind while on the break, and Kingsley has said a thing or two, but I'm going to quickly ask you, win or lose, even if the team do not get to the playoff stage, what are the things you think Rivers Upas, and maybe by extension, Nigerian basketball has gained from this Basketball Africa League experience?
Well, I think a whole lot has been gained, really. I mean, for most of the Rivers Upas players, this is probably the biggest platform they've played, aside from the MBBF league that we usually run back home in Nigeria, that has been dormant for years. So, in terms of technicality, exposure, in terms of the kind of even as minute as it may sound, logistics. I mean, a whole lot of things have been gained here. The style of play, cohesion, and all of that. I think Hoopers, we're talking about the local players now, they would have gained a whole lot from the organization, from our basketball is. I mean, I was speaking to one or two guys from Nigeria who runs basketball as well back home, and they said this is not our level. And you can understand what they meant by this is not our level. The standard here is so high, and I feel for every reasonable, stakeholder who really wants the best for the good of the game, they'll probably take notes, and I'm sure River Supers are not left out. They've taken their notes, whether they go on to qualify or not. There's a whole lot of things that has been learned here. It's a typical NBA standard. And if you talk about basketball in the world, you probably want to mention the NBA as the first. So if you have that standard here, then you should go back home, take it to Nigeria, and see how you can effect some of the things you've seen here on their own front with the right administrators permitting or allowing it to happen. So, Yemi, I mean, just to answer your question, there's a whole lot of positives here that Upas can take, whether they go through the next round or not.
Rotimi Akindele, I want to thank you for your time and your insights. Hopefully we get to do this again, and hopefully Rivers Hoopers get to play the playoffs.
No problem. That'll be good for everybody. It'll be good for Nigerian basketball. We'll just wait to see how it all pans out. But there are teams here that you don't want to joke with, and let's just wish you all the very best.
All right, very best is what we wish for Rivers Hoopers. That's our friend Rotimi Akindele telling us the way it is. All right, Damile Jusaliu is still with us. We'll keep it on, and of course Kingsley Udofia in the studio. Let's start this segment since we're done with basketball and take a look at the Olympics and just tell you officially it's 64 days to go from where we stand. 64 days to the biggest sporting event on the planet. In spite of all the news grabbing the headlines, the organizers still holding on. Their resolve strengthened, and they want to host this event. Let's really talk about the touch relay, which of course very, very important to the event. Of course, the touch relay has ended its 2-day visit to the Okayama Prefecture. That's one that's the 26th. We talked about it yesterday, and of course they are almost done with it. It's just about 20 other places to touch up on. Of course, similar to the first day, touch bearers remained at the same location. They weren't moving around. Of course, you know the reason why: COVID-19 cases on the rise. In spite of that, the Japanese authorities still say they're going to host the Olympics, and the IOC also giving their backing to the decision. Usually in times past, you see all of these people running through the villages. That couldn't be done And you could see that the crowds, spectators, all of them missing in action. But of course, the torch relay, which is very important, as of course it shows that the Olympics will go ahead, is currently going on. But let me quickly go to Damiloju and ask him, are you troubled by the signs? Are you troubled by the stories grabbing the headlines about the Olympics, all the things that you've been hearing, of course, petitions here and there, protests, nurses saying, look, don't expect us to be there. We have bigger problems to deal with, find a way. IOC offering to ensure that everybody in the Games Village gets vaccinated. You look at all of this, do they trouble you in any way?
It absolutely does. Of course, you have to be worried. I mean, a lot of us have heard some of the stories, some of the athletes. I'll use tennis as a very good example. Rafael Nadal is still unsure whether he will be at the Olympics at all. Naomi Osaka, who is Japanese, obviously loves the fact that the Olympics will hold right there in her country, but she's still not sure. As an athlete, of course, she wants that particular one to happen, but as a human being, she's feeling like there are a lot more important things and a lot of people are having certain issues. So, of course, the news coming out from Japan is not encouraging. It is not good. We're seeing a lot of the medical personnel being very skeptical. You mentioned how you talk about everyone being vaccinated. There's still a lot of cloud around the Olympics, and it's just 2 months away. The 23rd of July is literally 2 months away. Normally, in the past, at this point in time, everybody is excited. Everybody is screaming at the top of the lungs and looking forward to all the events that are going to happen. But it feels this year, after a postponement from last year, there is still a lot of talk away from the activities itself and happening around the world as regards all the tune up to it. So no, I am a little worried. I still think the games will go on, but I would have liked for us to have a cleaner and clearer slate ahead of the Olympics.
Yeah, I agree with you. Kingsley, your thoughts? All of the news, there's nothing that is really encouraging. But no nation, apart from North Korea, that from an athlete, from our point of view as journalists, want to cover the game, want to see records broken, want that atmosphere, that's good. Apart from North Korea, who have just said, we're not going. All the other nations, it appears like they want to go. But the news, it's not something that's encouraging.
However, organizers are still bent on, going on with the games. A few days ago, Naomi Osaka, even to date, she's still not decided yet whether she wants to be in or out.
Nishikori,
both of them from Japan. Other top athletes too, they are still undecided. And I think one of them came out a few days ago to say, look, if we're doing this, let's do this. If we're in, let's know we are in. But if we're not in, let's just declare that we're not in. But however, no concrete statement has been made as to whether they are in or out at this point right now. But I think the event will go on as scheduled, as planned. But not so good news coming out of Japan, because some parts of Japan, they are saying, no, we don't want to host the world at this point, because we would rather stay safe, than to bring people coming with COVID and
cause more
problems
for
us. So it's neither here nor there at this point right now. So we're still waiting to see come 23rd of July. Until the game kicks off, then we're still neither here nor there.
All right, so usually, like WG said, usually at this point we're all excited, everybody's happy, but now it's mixed feelings. You want to see the Olympics, but of course you have to be alive to participate in the Olympics, and that's what's currently going on. So we'll see. We keep monitoring. That's our job here. We'll do that for you. We'll tell you what's going on right there. So let's talk about a story that is really heartwarming. Diplomacy winning in two nations who've had tensions, political tensions. Talking about United States and Cuba. They've had their issues over the years, especially in the previous administration in the United States took a tough stance with Cuba. But now, we told you about the story that members of Cuba's baseball team wanted to participate in an event. They went to the United States Embassy in Havana, but now the news is that their visas is being processed, and they might get the chance to attend the qualifying tournament in Florida despite restrictions on consular services, and that's a triumph for diplomacy despite all the issues. And that's why we've always said that, look, sports is a vehicle for diplomacy, and it's been used at the highest levels. And I'm very happy for these athletes. Otherwise, they would have been they would have lost the opportunity to compete, not because they're not good enough, but because of political issues. So I'm very happy. A major obstacle moved away from them, but they still have to qualify first, though.
Sure. It's a good one. I mean, considering the history of both nations, politically, this one will say yes, the other one will say no. Always finding a way not to agree with each other. But here they are today. They seem to found a common ground, all because of sport. And like you said, sport is a tool, for to resolve any political issues that there is. So I'm particularly happy for them, but then they still need to qualify.
Yeah.
But one thing is certain. After qualification, they will be guaranteed going into the United States to compete. So that is one aspect of it that has been sorted already. So we'll wait for the qualification. All
right, we'll do. We'll see what happens. Let me also bring Damiloju into the conversation. Again, the IOC president, that's Thomas Bach, wants to visit Tokyo by July 12th. He's given a lot of assurances. He has offered to help get athletes in the games village vaccinated. But of course, going and coming to Tokyo has been problematic for him because of the issues with the emergency, the lockdown, and the strict measures put in place to ensure that there's no spike in COVID-19 cases. I mean, looking at this man at this moment, I do not envy him. But it still appears that his resolve is very strong.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I mean, there's a saying that heavy is the head that wears the crown. So, of course, Thomas Bach is feeling that pressure. The Olympics, like I said earlier, a lot of people really wanted to hold because it was scheduled for last year. It couldn't hold because of the pandemic, and they put it into 2021. And despite all the hitches or the issues that we seem to have, Thomas Bach is saying the right things. He is saying the right things, and then he's trying to make sure that he gets to Tokyo. We know it's very difficult. 12th is about 11 days from the start of the competition itself. And for it to actually go on smoothly, we already itemized how some people are not feeling too good about the Olympics. But Thomas Bach needs to put all the athletes at ease and let them know that the Japanese Federation, as well as all in Tokyo, will be able to give them the amazing Olympics that we've all looked forward to. I mean, we said it earlier on in the show, the biggest sporting event in the whole of the world. I mean, a lot of people want the Olympics to hold, want it to be hitch-free. We don't want a situation where we jeopardize the health of the athletes simply because we want the spectacle.
All right, so that's it on the Olympics. Guys, let's move on now. Of course, we're pressed for time. So let's move on and talk about table tennis. And let's quickly inform you that G20 Table Tennis Club of Abuja and Ondo State have emerged champions of in the team event of the 2021 Nigeria Table Tennis Federation National Championships taking place at the Molade Okoya Thomas Hall of Teslim Balogun Stadium. Of course, it was National Sports Festival champion Fatima Bello who inspired the G20 ladies to victory over Lagos State in the women's final, while Aziz Sholanke spearheaded their men's onslaught against Ondo. So that's what happened. In the men's final, although Ondo were down 2-0 in the singles after Sholanke and Ahmed Bello defeated Amadi and Taiwo Mati in that one. But of course, they found a way back into it. But at the end of the day, of course, the other side was just too good and they came out tops. Let's just listen to Eniton Oshidi on this tennis championship. We hear his views and come back for more.
Especially at the cadet level, junior level. They have the basics in place, not just skill. We know our players have the skill, but the important thing is technique, and a lot of them have that. And so we're very, very happy with that at the federation level. At the senior level, it's not, it could be better, but overall the standard is pretty high, and it gets better from day to day. You know, we're at a crossroad now. Some of our greatest players over the years, sooner or later, they have to come to the end of their career. And there's space in the national team. That's what I tell all the young players. There's space now, and you have to fight your way in. We've had 3 tournaments in the last month with the festival and the ASO tournament with this. So we've already seen that we have the crop of players. We need to expose them a bit more. But I'm very confident that the talent is there to back people like Haruna or Gideon Motayo. With these kids coming through, Sholanke, Amadi, Mati, too many names now. And that's what gives us the greatest pleasure. But I think importantly, the national team looks good for the future.
Because if these tournaments continue like this, we believe we can do more, because we Nigerians, all Nigerian athletes, we have this intelligence in sport, not like other countries, because God gave us these special things. So we believe if these tournaments continue like this, everything in Nigeria will keep growing. All the athletes, all the sports will appreciate by not tired of playing table tennis or doing any other sports.
All right, so you listen to the critical stakeholders, Wide Ennington Oshodi. Of course, I mean, needs little or no introduction when it comes to table tennis in Nigeria. And courtesy of that victory, the G20 and Ondo have fetched themselves 200,000 Naira star prize for team champions in that tournament. Talking about the national championships, the NTTF National Championships, that is. All right. Of course, let's leave that now and talk about football. Of course, there's this ongoing debate about whether or not players on the domestic scene are good enough to be in the Super Eagles. And that topic continues to divide opinion. Many are for, many are against, many try to stay in between. But of course, we were able to get the views of former Super Eagles forward and winner of the Under-17, maiden Under-17 championship as in China 1985, Jonathan Akpobore. It's giving us some insights into the issue and what he believes. Let's just quickly take a listen to Jonathan Akpobore have his say on whether or not players on the domestic scene are good enough to play in the Eagles.
There's no team that does not need improving. Even Manchester City that just won the championships recently, they will still need to improve the squad for next season. So it's like a constant thing. You have to change. And a national team, you always look for the best players. And the best players sometimes are the ones that will give you that performance that you need week in and week out. These things change. That is why the coach must be on alert every time, watching every game, every week. He cannot sit down. A national team coach has to be all around the place, watching all the interesting players, home and abroad. Not just, in Europe, because we have so many European-based Nigerian players. In Nigeria also, most of the league games, he should be there to watch all of them. Nobody should be able to, or nobody should tell him that, look, this player is good, that player is good. No, he has to do all of those things himself to pick the best team. Unfortunately, most of the time, Nigeria, even when I was playing, we don't usually pick our best team. Regarding his talents, but when it comes to playing with the boys that are coming from Europe, the gap these days is too plenty. It's a lot. I don't want to be disrespectful to the coaches in our league, but a lot of them don't actually bring these boys to where they should be to now compete with the boys that come from Europe. Somebody from, let me say, a layman can watch and say, okay, no, this boy is good enough in the league and he should be able to be good enough to play with the boys in Europe. But when you see him play tactically, he is not as good as those players coming from Europe. Those players coming from Europe, they've learned all of this in academies. We have academies now, but unfortunately, the academies are not as good as what we would say they are. Don't get me in a wrong way now. We are going in the right direction, but we are still very slow. We need the standard of our coaching to also rise up, to meet the talents that we have.
All right, before the break, you listened to Jonathan Akpobore. He said a lot of things. We're not going to have time to discuss that. We'll talk about that later. But Damilaju Salu is still with me, and we're about to go. Football Writers Award Player of the Season has been given to Ruben Diaz. Quick one, Damilaju, before we let you go. You think he's a worthy winner?
Absolutely, absolutely, without a shadow of doubt. I know a lot of people might have wanted to mention some other names, but I think the major thing that got it for Ruben Diaz is his consistency. If you look at the Premier League this season, 2020-2021, you find it very difficult to look at a player who was consistent over the campaign. Bruno Fernandes has not been really great over the last 1.5, 2 months. Harry Kane started like a house on fire. He dropped off. Same thing happened with his son Main. So it feels everybody feels Foden has just picked up in the last third of the season. So it feels like Ruben Diaz, who has masterminded Manchester City, he becomes the first player since Gianco Fazzola in 1997 to win the FWA Player of the Year in his first season. It's been amazing. Maybe we're seeing another Van Dijk.
All right, Damilaju Salu, I want to thank you for taking our time to be with us on the show tonight.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, so as we prepare to go, your thoughts on that as well? You think he's a worthy winner, Ruben Diaz?
I think that award would have divided opinion, either way. Some names will pop up like Fernandes, Harry Kane, and the rest of them. But then you look at Diaz in the Man City team. He has been massive for them since signing from Benfica. And also, notable mention could want to be Kevin De Bruyne or Mika Gundogan. But like I said, Ruben Diaz has been massive for them. He stabilized the backline. He's been solid, whether in Europe or in the EPL. So I think he deserves it at the end.
What the winner. All right. That's a good place to leave it. Kingsley Udofi, I want to thank you for your time on the show.
No, thank you for having me today.
All right, thank you as well for allowing us to be a part of the day. We thoroughly enjoyed doing this, and that's why we're going to be back again tomorrow to take you on a trip across the money spinning world of sports. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.